everyone, welcome to this update video this morning. I hope you're doing amazing, and we're gonna get straight into what is going on across the Atlantic. We can see that cluster of some convection offshore the Azores, and we'll see what happens with that out there, if there's going to be quick subtropical development, but I give that a pretty low chance of happening as of right now. But other from that, I still think that pre-season development is possible, which means we could see development before the official start of the hurricane season, which is, by the way, 41 days out. So not very long until the hurricane season kicks in. So yeah, and things are definitely pointing towards an active season. I'll be discussing a new prediction later down in this video. But as we look towards areas such as northern South America, stretching through parts of the tropical Atlantic into the African coast, we can see that it's getting pretty active as well. So it's getting active along the intertropical convergence zone. So that is a fancy name for where the trade winds of the north and the south meet, and when they meet, they can result in this kind of increase in activity. But as we look toward the Caribbean, not a whole lot happening. I mean, some areas are experiencing some showers this morning, and others will experience some downpours as the day goes on. And the southeast U.S. is also a little bit active. You can see some thunderstorms in the Gulf. And speaking of thunderstorms, question of the day, here it is: which is dangerous, lightning or thunder? So that is your question. We will be discussing it later down in the video. Let's zoom into the Caribbean, and here we can see. So again, those cloud clusters around some areas, and it's going to be a little bit breezy today as well across most of the region. But as it relates to rainfall activity, there are some showers moving by areas such as the Lesser Antilles, maybe parts of Guadeloupe, even Martinique, St. Lucia, parts of the Leeward Islands, and headed towards northern Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. Specifically for St. Croix, there are some showers around this morning. As we head on to the rainfall forecast for today, we can see all these yellow shadings in the area. So the more color that we see, more rain is expected for that area. So this is what Euro is forecasting. We could see quite a bit of rain in parts of the northeastern Caribbean, the Virgin Islands, the Leeward Islands, but that rainfall chance would significantly decrease for areas such as Trinidad and Tobago and Barbados. And there is that dust coming in as well, which we'll look at momentarily. For the ABC Islands, a few showers may loiter around just the same. And then for northern South America, it gets pretty colorful, especially near the Pacific coast of Colombia. We can see those purple shadings, even some spots of pink popping up. Rainfall amounts up to 3.5 inches as we head through today, and that can certainly result in some flooding. Look into Venezuela, also seeing that it's colorful for most areas, but not as much for the eastern part of the country. And then go into the Guyanas for southern Guyana, parts of eastern Suriname. There could be some more substantial rainfall today, but in northern areas, it may not be so active at all. Central America, also seeing that there is some colorful shadings around parts of Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras, El Salvador, southern Guatemala, and even headed to some spots in Mexico. But much of the Yucatan is likely to remain dry today. Same thing as we head to the Bay Islands of Honduras, even for the offshore islands of San Andres, Providencia, the Cayman Islands, Cuba, the northern Bahamas, and portions of Florida. But for parts of the southern Bahamas, Turks and Caicos Islands, few showers may loiter around. Now going to Hispaniola, in parts of Haiti and the Dominican Republic, there could be some showers today. And I have been seeing the comments from you guys from parts of the Dominican Republic, which have been experiencing rainfall over the past days. And so it looks as though it is going to be continuing in some areas as we head into this new week. And going to Puerto Rico as well, there could be some additional showers today. Jamaica, it's getting pretty colorful for most of the island here, but we'll see what eventually happens as we head through today. Some substantial rain is definitely possible across some areas. So again, we're seeing that yellow shading and even some oranges for parts of the island. It doesn't necessarily mean that that specific area with a little bit of orange is going to get a lot of heavy rain, but it could be somewhere in the island as we head through today. Now going on to that dust forecast. So here we have this map here, and the darker brown indicate those areas of higher dust concentration. And as I mentioned, it is moving in. and across the Lesser Antilles, you guys may notice that it is a very hazy morning in, for example, Trinidad, Tobago, Grenada. Then as we head through the week, this dust is going to continue moving to the west, blanketing the ABC Islands, and headed towards the Western Caribbean, blanketing parts of Central America. So you guys can let me know in the comments what conditions are like for you, what visibility is like for you with all this dust around. And not only the Caribbean islands and Central America, but also parts of northern South America, the Guyanas, Venezuela, Colombia will also be experiencing some dust coverage in some areas. So as I mentioned, the hurricane season is 41 days out from now, and sea surface temperatures are well on their way in the Caribbean. But of course, that's not the only factor. Those upper level winds need to be conducive as well, and there needs to be lots of mid and low level moisture to really have development taking place, lots of rising air motion, because that is what creates that atmospheric instability to allow for thunderstorms to develop. But eventually we'll be seeing that happening, and as I mentioned before, I still think it is possible that we could see pre-season development. Now, one of the recent predictions is from the Weather Channel or the Weather Company, and this was on April 17th. Now, they're expecting 24 named storms, of which 11 could become hurricanes and 6 major hurricanes. So as I mentioned, if you watched yesterday's updates video, that question was what is classified as a major hurricane along that line. So Cat 3 plus on the Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale. So the Weather Channel is expecting the season to be very active, just as other organizations are expecting. They're all expecting a very active hurricane season, thanks to the El Nino, which is going away, and La Nina, which is expected to set in later this year. Not only that, but the anomalously warm surface waters across the North Atlantic. That is going to be a huge boost for tropical cyclones this year. But the track of these systems will all be dependent on multiple steering factors, and the main one is the Bermuda Azores High. If we have a more dominant Bermuda High out there, we're going to see more systems getting pushed to the west, and that would place the Caribbean and even areas such as the Gulf of Mexico, the Gulf Coast of the U.S., Mexico, and even Central America at risk. But of course, the track of these systems is pretty much unknown at this point in time. Only the general info on what happens based on historical data can be said. But 24 named storms are very active. That would exhaust the list of names for the hurricane season, and we would have to move to the supplemental list. So the NHC, the National Hurricane Center, would resort to the supplemental list if this year's list is indeed exhausted and there are more storms developing in the Atlantic basin. But of course, guys, I'll be keeping you posted on all that is happening. Right now, it is the calm before the storm. Now, let's head back to the question I asked at the start of the video. Which is dangerous, lightning or thunder? The answer is lightning. So many people would think that thunder is dangerous because of the very loud sound, that boom that you hear, but it's actually the lightning. And thunder in and of itself is harmless. But what causes it? Why do we hear that loud roaring sound after a lightning strike? Well, that is because the air rapidly expands. It's heated so quickly thanks to the lightning strike. And a lightning strike is a discharge of energy. Lightning is 5 times hotter than the surface of the sun. Hence the reason it rapidly heats the atmosphere around, and also should it actually strike a tree or a house or something, that is why it causes such tremendous damage. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen the videos around the internet at any point of trees literally splitting in two because of a lightning strike. So again, a lightning strike is around 5 times hotter than the surface of the sun, and it's lightning that causes thunder, because when a lightning strike occurs, it rapidly heats the atmosphere around, And because of that rapid heating, that's what generates the thunderclap that you hear. And the reason that we see lightning before we hear thunder is because light travels way faster than sound. So you may see lightning strike, but the thunder is not heard until maybe a few seconds afterwards. So that is some basic information, guys, and I hope you got the question right. Let me know in the comments. And that is it for this update video on a whole. So I hope that you found it to be very informative, but if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments. I will respond to you when I get the chance to do so. And remember to always be weatherwise.